welcome back to Simply Home and Harvest. I'm Jen, and today we have a busy day in the kitchen and an early morning start, and I thought it would be fun just to bring you along. Now this video is going to be a little different than my typical videos. You're going to hear a lot of voiceover, and I'm just going to let you watch me get things done today. I will include a link and the recipes in the description box below that we'll be using today. First off, I want to get some homemade sourdough bread in the house. So that's what I'm doing here, just preparing our dough to rise. And sourdough does take a little bit longer to rise. And so we will be patient today as we're making our apple butter, and we'll be able to enjoy some homemade bread to go along with that apple butter later this evening or in the morning. Now, I have made sourdough bread several times for you on this channel, so I didn't want to bore you with all that again, but I thought I would include it in the video today just because it is a normal part of our everyday lives and something that we really enjoy, especially when we make homemade apple butter. Now, here's some clips of us preparing all the apples that we got at the apple orchard for homemade apple butter and homemade applesauce. My mom was so sweet to come over and spend the day with me on this day, and we got all of those apples peeled, cored, chopped up, and then I was able to just get them in freezer bags because I was so busy this week that I could not get to the project. And so I just froze all the apples, and then they were ready for us to go this morning. So that's a tip for you. You can freeze apples, and then you, especially like if you're gonna use them for apple butter and applesauce, because they're gonna cook down anyway. And so that makes it a little bit more convenient if you don't have time to get the whole job done. Just to be able to knock out this portion is very helpful. So we got several bags, you can see there, ready to go for the freezer. I love the flavor of these apples that we used this year. It was a combination of Stamen and Arkansas Black. I'm drawing a blank here. Some Honey Crisp, I think. Granny Smith, Golden Delicious. We got several varieties and are really enjoying them. So first off, I like to get my slow cookers ready, and you really need a whole day to do this. So don't plan a lot of activities if you are making apple butter, because it includes a lot of patience and stirring every hour, so you don't want to be too far away from home. You'll see that's our starter that we've got rising over there. And now we're going to finish the process of getting our dough prepared. Now, I have learned over the years that it's a little bit easier to make that well in the middle of your flour, and then you can just incorporate your flour into all of your liquid ingredients, and you don't have to use two separate bowls. So there's a little tip for you. Makes life a little bit easier when it comes to doing the dishes. I'm loving my Danish dough hook. I have linked that before in the description box for you. So if you're interested in that, let me know and I will send that link out as well. Our dough has to rise for several hours. So while it does, we're going to go ahead and get our apples into our slow cookers. I'm doing 16 cups of apples in each slow cooker. And because they are still a little frozen, I decided to run each of the slow cookers on high for a couple of hours just to get those thawed and down, into the pot a little bit more before adding all of our sugar and spices, which is what we're doing here. So we are going to add sugar, cinnamon, and cloves. And like I said, I'll leave all of those measurements for you below. But I just go ahead and mix everything in the bowl, and then I pour it right over top of the apples in each of the slow cookers. And as the apples cook down, the sugar and spices just kind of run down over all the apples, and then you're stirring it constantly. So you are going to get all of it incorporated as the day goes on. And I know that I've had some feedback on, people asking, why don't you just mix the sugar and the apples and then pour them into the slow cooker? And I can do that, but it would take a while, especially having already prepared the apples and had them in the freezer bags. So, if you'd rather do it that way, you certainly can. This is just the way I've always done it, and it just works for me. Apple butter has been going on high for about an hour, and I did put that sugar mixture on top. So I'm just going to give it a little stir, and I'm going to decide whether or not to turn it down to low for the remaining time that it needs to cook. Now, I know these apples were slightly frozen still, so I was just kind of trying to give them some extra heat, which is why I started on high. Normally I wouldn't do that. Normally I would always start on low and just keep it on low the whole time. But we're gonna give it a stir. As we do, all that sugar is going to seep down into the apples, so don't get concerned about that. It will definitely get mixed all the way through. Now it's time to turn our focus back toward our sourdough bread. And so our dough has risen for about 2 to 3 hours. Now I have shaped it into loaves, and I'm just going to put these loaf pans up near my lamp in the kitchen, which is a nice warm spot, cover them and let them rise until they reach the top of the loaf pans. And then it's time to bake them. Again, I will include all of the recipe below for you on those, but it's gonna be so amazing, and it just makes your kitchen smell delicious. Just wanted to let you know that I used my immersion blender a little bit to make this smoother at the end, but this is the result of cooking. Let's see, we started this process at 11 o'clock. This one's about an hour behind, it just cooks slower, but this crock is ready. So 11 o'clock this morning, it's now almost 8:30. So let's just say we let it cook till 8 o'clock. I cooked it on high. Normally I cook it on low, but normally I start way earlier in the morning. So do the math there. That's what, 9 hours of cook time on high. This is an all-day process, and the only reason I even cooked it on high was because I was at home and could stir it like every 30 minutes. So don't do that unless you're going to be close by, but definitely it did the job. It cooked down, and then that immersion blender just got it perfect. Let me see if I can bring you closer. Just want you to see how smooth that looks. Beautiful. All right, it's time to fill all these jars. I've already got them clean. Our lids are already sterilized and hot. So now we just gotta fill them all up. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me in the kitchen today. I know this video was a little bit different, but I hope you enjoyed it and found inspiration, and will maybe make a loaf of bread for your family, or consider making some homemade apple butter. You don't have to can it like I'm doing. You can freeze it, and I can show you ways to do that. Just remember that all the information you need to make bread and also to make apple butter will be linked down in the description box below. I'll also add a couple of videos there of bread making and apple butter from times past. All right, well, until next time, remember to live simply, use what you have, enjoy the moments you've been given, and I will see you all right here next time.